I feel like it's been a long time since I've actually been excited about a movie. So I know I've not talked a lot about my past on this channel when it comes to what I like to do apart from making these YouTube videos or running my Instagram or writing or teaching meditation. And some of you who may follow me on those other channels, you may get a glimpse of what my life looks like in other aspects. What I haven't really shared online is how much of a nerd I used to be when it comes to TV and movies and fantasy fiction and gaming, and on it goes. So, I mean, it's been a while that I've been really into the fantasy gaming and movie cultures. So I'm these days just, catching up to some things, mostly reminiscing about the good times, which I feel haven't been there for the fantasy genre, at least in the last 10 years. And because I've got so busy since I started my business last year, I got really busy with work, and I also work next to my work, so I haven't had much chance to jump back into these cultures, or really anyway, in the last 2 years, I hadn't really gone to the cinema. I think everything was closed here for over a year, and then when things opened, they were still you had to meet all the conditions to be allowed to go, and then so this year was the first time in like 2.5 years that I actually went to the theater to watch something. And the first movie I watched this year in the theater was the new Batman, with Robert Pattinson. I hope I said his name right. Is it Robert Patterson or is it Robert Pattinson? Yeah, okay. You can see I'm a bit out of date. And then the next one I watched, luckily, I think I was really lucky that I didn't watch anything in the middle, because I don't know if anything good really came out. But then I went to watch Top Gun Maverick, because I mean, I was born in the late 80s. Yeah, I watched this movie with my aunt and uncle in when I was, I don't remember how old I was, but it was in the 90s. And I mean, I have just the best memories around this film, and like everything about it, the original, like with Tom Cruise and all the other characters and the storylines. I mean, it's so much association with this, so I just couldn't resist when first I saw, okay, Top Gun Maverick is playing in theaters, and something was like telling me, okay, go watch it, go watch it, go watch it. And part of me was like, oh, I don't know, is this going to be ruined like so many or all other movies that have, and remakes that have come out in the last decade, or is this going to be worth something? And I don't know. Then I saw a couple of things online, and I was like, okay, this may not be that bad, guys. This may actually be something worth watching. So I went to the cinema after like a really hard week, and I feel like I haven't been this excited about something in a long, long time, which made me happy because, I was finally excited about a movie. But it also made me feel really sad, and I was wondering what has happened to movies, and what has happened to TV, what has happened to fantasy. Like, I zoned out at one point. I just, it was slow, so it was like, okay, watching one thing, not really getting into it after a couple of seasons, and just sort of exiting. And then the other thing, exit, other thing, exit, other thing, exit. And I'm talking about all the classic franchises here, like Star Trek, couldn't. Picard, I mean, I don't even know why. I, I just, I mean, I love Star Trek The Next Generation. And then there was Picard, and I saw the trailer, and I felt I am not really feeling it, but I thought it could. Wow, is this like going to be the return of Picard? Unfortunately, in the first episode, no, it wasn't the return of Picard as we knew him, and I couldn't even finish the first episode. And same thing happened with Star Trek. I started watching Discovery. I don't even know if I could finish the first season. I think the first few episodes, and then I just kind of exited quietly. And over the years, it happened to every single franchise that I liked, and even the books I was reading is sort of, exited. At one point, a few years ago, I completely stopped reading fantasy because I felt like I don't know if there's anything good coming out. At one point, it was all young adult dystopian fiction with the same type world, dystopian, futuristic, or whatever. A girl, she's special, and two guys are fighting over him. And every single series or saga or fiction that came out was basically a regurgitation of this arc. I hope I said that right. Regurgitation sounds better. Anyway, anyway, and so when I was in the cinema, I was watching Top Gun. I mean, those hours, they just flew by. I didn't feel like, oh, when will this end? I wasn't checking my watch, and I loved it. I have to say, I was shocked at how much I loved it. I was shocked at how good it was, and I wanted to break down here what I think what has happened with movies, or I would say with story writing or storytelling in the last decade, because you know a good story has good characterization. They are actual realistic in the sense that we can believe them character arcs even if they're fantastical. So I'm not saying that magical is not realistic or the magic is not real. You can have magic, you can have a mage or a wizard, but you can still give him a realistic character arc that still touches on the psyche of what someone could go through with that much power. I mean, when you look at Gandalf and you see all the arcs and all the pitfalls and challenges and the choices based on the power that the character has. So I mean, that's good characterization. When you write a good character, you have to think about these things, and especially when you're building characters, whether they're heroes or villains, but especially for heroes, heroes are flawed. They're human. They're heroes because they achieve something in spite of their flaws. So we want to see this in good characterization, which is unfortunately not really happening in a lot of modern writing. We're not really told the stories of how and why a character came into power, or if they already have power, it's not explained to us. How did that happen? What did you overcome? What was the bargain? Because even if it's superpower, there's bargain that has to be made. So with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility, and you can't just have the one thing, and that you can write it that way, but when you write characters that way, they just become boring, and then nobody wants to watch this stuff, or people get bored. And even if people watch this stuff in the moment, these characters are forgotten. They're completely forgotten. Nobody remembers who they are, who they were, because they have nothing memorable. They have nothing relatable. They have nothing inspirational about them. And this was not the case with Top Gun. You had a character coming from the 80s and, with one of his biggest character flaws, like he's called Maverick. I mean, he was the most independent, flouting authority, flouting ruled. And then now you have this guy in his 50s, and he's starting to realize that, he may no longer be able to do that and get away with it. So, he has to face, his own limitation, the limitation of his personality that got him so far. And now here we are at this crucial moment where, okay, it's not working out anymore. I mean, that's how you write a good character. because then he can overcome this limitation, or he can assess it better, when to use it, when not to use it, and then it makes him more relatable to us, and it makes him interesting because he's not doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result over and over again, even if it's a good result. But he does something differently, and he gets something else, he gets another outcome, or we get to see the development of a character, which is what makes stories interesting. And I guess this is really not happening in so many movies today. Writers, or I don't know who it is, producers, I don't know who it is, they're not taking the time to explain characterization to us properly. It's like an afterthought. Oh, we have characters? Yes, characters are going to carry your story. So that should be the first thing that I think you should think about when you're writing a good story that's going to appeal to a variety of different people, diverse audiences. So, what type of characters do you have? And that doesn't mean what your characters look like, but who they are as people. And that seems to escape the modern industry. Now you don't have a character at all. You just have somebody who looks like somebody and has a specific appearance or a specific race, a specific skin color, and we're supposed to just assume character qualities based on the physical appearance of a character. Yeah, that's just not going to work. It's not appealing, and these characters are completely forgettable, which is sad because finally we can have diverse characters. We are seeing diverse faces in movies and TV. And these are totally forgettable, and nobody is going to remember them even 1 year down the line, let alone 10, let alone 20, let alone a decade, let alone hundreds of years. And the great characters, we remember them. They're 50 years old or 60 or a century old or over a century old, but we don't forget the really memorable characters.